Imagine invading a city, and the official battle plan is walking in circles. No weapons raised, no shouting, no dramatic siege tactics, just quiet footsteps around a giant wall. Yes, that's how Jericho fell. And yes, none of this should have worked. The Israelites had finally reached the edge of the Promised Land after decades in the wilderness. And the very first city in their path was Jericho, a fortress so well known for its strength that people talked about its walls the way modern cities talk about skyscrapers. Massive, fortified, built to withstand anything. The kind of place you don't break into, you just avoid. There was absolutely no chance of getting in by force. No army, no matter how determined, would look at Jericho and think, yeah, we can climb that. But then Joshua received the plan. And the plan was astonishingly simple. Walk. Just walk. No attacks, no siege ramps, no clever engineering, no surprise tactics. Just walk. It was the kind of mission no general would ever put on a resume. You can almost picture the soldiers staring at Joshua, waiting for the punchline. Maybe they thought he forgot to mention the actual attack part. Maybe they expected a secret tunnel or a hidden strategy. But no, the instructions were exactly what they sounded like. Joshua just looked up at the sky as if reminding everyone, I'm only forwarding the message. So the warriors prepared, not for battle, but for a silent march that looked more like a warm-up exercise than a military campaign. Shields lowered, weapons unused, formation steady, but absolutely no sound. Just disciplined steps around the giant walls that everyone agreed were impossible to breach. From the top of those walls, the people of Jericho watched in confusion. They expected catapults, fire, shouting, chaos. Instead, they saw an army calmly walking around their city, like tourists checking the perimeter. Some must have wondered, is this intimidation? Are they lost? Is this rehearsal? Meanwhile, the Israelites themselves weren't entirely sure what to think. The plan made no sense, didn't follow any known strategy, and wouldn't convince a single military advisor. But after everything they had lived through, plagues in Egypt, the Red Sea, manna falling every morning, following unusual instructions had become weirdly normal. So they walked. No speeches, no threats, no dramatic moment, just the simplest, quietest beginning to a battle ever recorded. And so begins the strangest attack in ancient history, an operation that looked ridiculous from the outside, yet was preparing the ground for something no one on either side could foresee. And that's how the most unusual mission ever recorded gets underway, the attack that made no sense at all, and still worked. Joshua gives the orders exactly as he received them. March, once per day, in absolute silence. No extra strategy meeting, no here's the plan speech, no motivational build-up. Just 3 instructions that sound more like a strange routine than a military operation. Still, the people prepare with total seriousness. The warriors line up, focused. The priests lift the trumpets. The ark moves to the front. And then the entire formation begins to circle the city. Slow, steady, disciplined. No one speaks. No one breaks formation. No one even whispers. The only sound comes from the trumpets, long echoing blasts that bounce off Jericho's giant walls and create a strange, almost supernatural atmosphere. It feels less like a siege and more like a mystery ritual unfolding in front of everyone. Up on the walls, Jericho's inhabitants lean over the edges, trying to make sense of it. They expected shouting, fire, chaos, arrows, anything that looked like a real attack. Instead, they get a walking loop. Are they just circling us? Is that it? From their point of view, this isn't a threat. It's confusing. It's unsettling in the wrong way. It's the kind of moment where someone would say, should we be worried or should we laugh? It's like watching an army practice strategic meditation. Day 1 ends with absolutely nothing happening. The Israelites complete the loop and head back to camp as if they just finished a morning warm-up. Day 2, same thing, same silence, same trumpets, same confused audience on the walls. Day 3, still nothing. At this point, Jericho's guards are probably taking turns guessing what the plan is, because whatever this is, it doesn't match any normal battle. And the Israelites, they start exchanging those subtle looks, the ones that quietly ask, is this supposed to work? But no one quits, no one stops, No one questions Joshua out loud, because once you've seen a sea split in half, unusual instructions stop feeling unusual. So they keep marching, around and around, day after day, silence after silence. And with each loop, the tension grows, not because of action, but because of the complete lack of it. Everyone knows stories like this don't stay quiet forever. Something is coming. Something has to happen. You just don't know when. And all of this quiet, repetitive, almost anticlimactic buildup is pointing directly to one moment. On the seventh day, everything changes. On the seventh day, everything shifts. The instructions are no longer march once. Now the order is bigger, stranger, and far more intense. 7 laps, 7 trumpets, and one massive collective shout released at the exact same moment. The Israelites rise early, line up, and begin circling the city again. Only this time they don't stop after one loop. They keep going, second lap, third, fourth. The tension builds with every step. Even the air feels heavier, as if the city itself knows something is about to break. By the 7th lap, everyone inside and outside the walls is watching. The scene turns iconic instantly. The trumpets blast, long and deep, echoing across the valley and slamming against the walls of Jericho like a rolling wave. The shout rises behind it, thousands of voices exploding at once, a sound that feels too big for the desert, too loud for any normal moment. Expectation hits its peak. Commanders freeze, guards stop breathing, spectators stare wide-eyed. And then the impossible happens. The walls begin to tremble, not metaphorically, literally. Stones shake as if the ground underneath shifted. Cracks spread like lightning veins across the thick structure. Dust pours from the top. Jericho's unbreakable defense suddenly looks like a tower of stacked dishes during an earthquake. Then the stones start to fall. One section collapses onto another, and the entire defensive line gives way right in front of everyone. What moments before looked indestructible now folds into the ground like a failed construction project. It's the ancient equivalent of bringing down a firewall, using nothing but a shout. The reaction is priceless. The people inside Jericho are stunned, frozen in disbelief. The Israelites, equally shocked. Even they didn't expect the plan to work this literally. Somewhere in that crowd, someone probably whispered, "Wait, that actually worked." No one planned for this. No one had a backup strategy, because no one thought the walls would simply fall over, and yet here they were, gone. With the walls down, the city lies completely open. No gates to break, no defenses to fight. The Israelites walk in almost as quickly as the walls came down. Instant victory. No siege engines, no ladders, no drawn-out battle. Just one coordinated moment that rewrote the entire story of Jericho in a single breath. But the meaning behind this victory, the message it carries, the shift it causes, goes beyond the fallen stones. What this moment represents is even bigger. The fall of Jericho spreads like breaking news, ancient world edition. Word travels fast across kingdoms, tribes, trade routes, and every lookout post within 100 miles. A city known for being untouchable has just collapsed without a single soldier laying a hand on it. Everyone hears about it. Everyone reacts. And the reactions are intense. Neighboring nations immediately go on high alert. If Jericho, the city people used as the benchmark for impenetrable, fell this easily, then no one is safe. Panic starts quietly, then grows. Leaders reinforce their borders. Scouts are sent out. Rumors start flying. The region shifts overnight. Meanwhile, Israel's morale shoots through the roof. One moment they were the wandering nation with no land and no formal army. The next, they're the people who toppled the strongest fortress in the area without launching a single real attack. Their confidence surges. Their identity changes. And Joshua? He becomes the undeniable leader of the nation. Nobody questions him now, not after this. And the irony is impossible to ignore. The most heavily reinforced city in the region collapsed without a sword being lifted. No siege engines, no fire, no explosives, just footsteps, trumpets, and timing. If Jericho existed today, it would rank among the greatest security failures of all time. Whole documentaries would be made about it. From a cultural standpoint, Jericho wasn't just another city. It was one of the oldest settlements known in the region. Ancient architecture, strong foundations, thick double walls, strategic placement. Everything about it screamed stability and permanence. It was the kind of structure you built to last generations. And yet, it fell in a single moment. That's why this victory matters so much. It marks the real entrance of Israel into the Promised Land, not just crossing a border, but breaking through the biggest barrier standing in their way. Jericho was the symbolic wall between wandering people and established nation. Now that wall is gone. This victory also sets the tone for what comes next. Future battles, future challenges, future territory to claim. Jericho becomes proof, visible, undeniable proof, that victory can come from directions no one expects. That strength doesn't always win the fight. That logic isn't always the deciding factor. That sometimes the impossible happens simply because it's not supposed to happen. Jericho rewrites the story of the land, and the lesson behind it, the one that explains why this moment is so important, still isn't fully revealed, because the deepest part of this story only appears at the very end. The story of Jericho proves one thing clearly: logic doesn't always equal victory. If you judge the plan on paper, walk in circles, stay silent, then shout, you wouldn't bet on it. No strategist would, no commander would. But Jericho fell anyway. Looking back, the recap is almost unbelievable. A strange mission, a silent march, 7 days of growing tension, one collective shout, and a fortress collapsing in front of everyone. Nothing about the strategy made sense. And yet everything worked exactly when it needed to. That's where the lesson lives. Because ancient or modern, some of the biggest turning points start with small, repeated steps. Steps that feel pointless at first. No fireworks, no dramatic signs, just quiet consistency that eventually transforms everything. Not every process looks powerful from the outside. Not every beginning looks promising. Some victories only appear after you've repeated the same simple action enough times for it to matter. Discipline outlasts strength. Constancy outperforms force. And sometimes the breakthrough arrives through the one method no one would ever pick. If this happened today, the headline would be hilarious. City collapses after intensive walking strategy. A modern military analyst would quit on the spot. But Jericho's fall isn't about noise. It's not about volume or spectacle. It's about persistence. Quiet, repetitive persistence that looks ridiculous until the moment it works. The story reminds you that progress doesn't always look impressive while it's happening. Sometimes the most effective path is the one that seems the least logical. The unexpected plan, the simple routine, the thing everyone underestimates, because some victories don't come from doing something huge once, but from doing something small, again and again, until the wall finally cracks. And now, with Jericho's lesson complete, one question remains. Which story should we simplify next? Rahab, Gideon, or Samson?